everybody. It's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. And today we are talking about the next to the last episode of Fargo. Episode 10 called Happy, which is really strange.
I'm not happy.
Anyway, lighting. It's what I've complained about all season long. 90% of this episode was filmed inside in darkened rooms. Weird. 5% in the dark of night and 5% outside in the daylight on the porch of the mortuary/home. And in the Kansas, quote, countryside, quote, with Satchel. Okay, what did I like about this episode? Well, I don't want to be too specific, but at least one thing I was wondering about for a long time was finally explained, which I really do appreciate a lot. And
the ghost.
It was interesting. Okay, and you'll see, and I ask you to pay attention to the scene where the mom and the daughter at the mortuary talk on the porch. And then you'll see what I'm saying. But pay close attention, listen to what they're saying. Okay? And then, what else did I like? I liked what happened with the nurse, but then, guess what? And you'll all be able to see it. Watch the preview for next week's episode. So I'm totally confused now, and I don't know. I was happy with whatever happened, but it might all be changed. So who knows? I don't know. I don't understand it. Even one of the characters in the show didn't understand it. Said, what's she doing here? Okay. And let's see, what else? I'm glad they showed Satchel.
Okay, so you like something else.
He was,
okay.
Except he talked very low, like he's gone through puberty. And I was confused about that because in the episode, his mother said something, she's talking to her husband, said, well, they killed my son, he was only 10 years old. Well, I don't know any boy who goes through puberty at 10 years old, I'm sorry. I have had 2 boys myself, and I don't remember them going through puberty at age 10. But of course, Marco said, from the time that all the beginning episodes were filmed and the time they filmed these last couple, it was interrupted because of the pandemic. So it could be that, there's so much time that he was a lot older and that he went through puberty. So who knows? But he doesn't look that much different, but he did sound, low voice. I was almost shocked. But another thing to their credit, too, is that, oh, God, I think I lost my train of thought. Well, he never talked much. We've already said this. We said this last week. He and the rabbi really said very little during the whole season. So it could have been maybe he had a low voice all this time. And, we just didn't hear it because he hardly talked.
I think that's the least of this episode's problem.
Yes, I know, but I just wanted to, I was so shocked that he talked that it kind of threw me off. And, well, I'll let you go ahead. I'll have to see if there's anything else. Okay, well, Marco's going to waste time sighing because he's very unhappy.
Well, it's the fact that I didn't do that. I didn't do that last one on purpose. But yeah. Anyway, well, obviously this episode's a 10 out of 10. A+. It's the best episode of all time. Best episode of television ever. It's just obvious. It's like this show could never do anything wrong. Wink, wink. No, actually, this episode was yet another trash episode of this trash season. The thing is, though, it was entertaining. It's basically like watching junk food on television. It's junk, and it's full of agendas once again. and agendas that like really have no point in the story. Like it's basically just, it's either added there for an agenda, which wouldn't surprise me since it's 2020 and like every movie or TV show is filled with just agenda, or it's that they don't really know what the characters could say to have character. I told you not to do that in this episode, Safi. It's either that or they just don't know what the characters could say to give them character. And so they're like, oh, let's just have them say some random thing about slavery or some random thing about this, random thing about that, that's so we can fulfill an agenda. And it's like, it's so tiring. But actually, that wasn't really a big problem in this episode. It's just the fact that, like, I'm just sick of this season. This episode was bad primarily because all the other episodes were bad, basically. This episode is suffering because of the other episodes having terrible writing. You see what happens in this. It's just an experiment in bad writing. It's like, this is what happens when you kill off the best characters, when you leave out storylines that were really good in favor of storylines that no one cared about, like the whole thing with the nervous cop. Like his character, he had such an incredible build-up until that episode where he just randomly kills the U.S. Marshal, the best character. And it's like, he's choosing the side of a guy who insulted him for fighting in World War II and called him a coward, said all this horrible stuff about him, and it's like, he's choosing his side. Like, that's the side he's gonna choose. That okay, because we want him to get killed off, right? Because the cop characters in this season cannot live. Because I find it hilarious how the past 3 seasons, the police characters got to survive. They got to basically walk off into the sunset. Like in season 2, that shitty character played by the Cheers guy, that old fart grandpa character, he got like shot in the chest, and it's like he just magically recovers because he's got this giant plot armor. And it's like, he gets to survive, and then you have this U.S. Marshal, and he just has to get killed. Oh, I get it, because it's this season. And I'm not going to further explain that because I know you guys know what I mean. It's just pretty clear that the police characters were going to get killed this season for an agenda. And it's trash. But I thought it was entertaining, though. I mean, this episode wasn't that bad in terms of entertainment value. I mean, I thought it had some really highlight scenes. Like the scene at the end, I really liked, with the unlikable narrator girl, Ethelrita. The scene with her and Chris Rock, I thought that was a really good scene, even though, I obviously don't like either of their characters, because of the writing. And, there's some other highlight things, like, Chris Rock's wife, once again, does a better job acting than him. And the scene where there's explanation about who the ghost is was really cool. I like the scene where the nurse is gonna kill Ethelrita, and and then the ghost comes and then scares her away. I thought that was really cool, and I thought it looked really cool, like especially in black and white, which is how I choose to watch this poorly lit season. Because let me tell you, the lighting in this episode was atrocious. There were several scenes where I had to sort of like go like, am I seeing everything? Am I missing something? Like, I hope I'm seeing everything, because it's like impossible to see because of the poor lighting. And even when I put it in black and white, which, fixed all the other episodes, it did not fix this episode. And there's tons of other problems. I mean, obviously, and there's so many fanboys just giving a 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, greatest episode of all time. this episode reached another level of brilliantness. Like you really need to. This is what I know that there's casual fans. There's fans who might like, they might not look too critically, and they just like what they're given. But there are certain fanboys who, and they're the reason why this season exists, because they never criticized in season 1 the little minor issues there. They never criticized anything in season 2. They never criticized anything in season 3. And then that's what you get when you don't criticize, when you don't give feedback, when you let the writers think that everything they do is gold. This is what you get. You get a season where they just disrespect these great characters who, they created some good characters, and then they ruined them and they killed them. They set them up to be good characters. Even the lesbo bandits, they could have been cool characters, kinda. They were ruined, and that whole, it's terrible. It's such a disappointment, such a letdown. What do you think, Safi? I mean, don't you agree with all that this is just the result of a disappointing season?
I just don't know what to say. I don't understand the thing about the lighting, and I'll just say, as a spoiler, but I won't say whom, 2 major characters were killed off.
The nervous cop and Mario.
Oh, okay, well, I guess he decided to tell, but
I don't care.
they've killed one person off an episode.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, and after watching this episode, I feel like the kids, which they're not really kids, but the boy Satchel, and then Ethel Rita, who, she looked like she was in college. She looked very grown up, and she was dressed very nicely. She always did dress, but she dressed like a kid. Now she looks like she's in college.
Yeah, she ain't a teenager.
And I feel like they're going to be the only ones left standing, because everybody's going to be dead. And I don't like that. It wasn't like that. I did get around. I don't know if I told you all, but I watched all the other seasons. I just binge watched them, which was fine, because I just did my reselling chores and did it while watching it, and it was nice. I enjoyed it, watching the other seasons, and I guess they do the same thing. They kill bad people off, and like Marco said, for the most part, they did kill a couple of cops, but
not the main ones.
They kept, the family, the girl, and then she married that Tom Hanks' son, and then there was
get to ride off into the sunset.
The guy from CSI and Cheers, Ted Danson, he stayed alive.
Magically recovers after getting shot.
Horrible, and he's older.
Like 80 years old.
No, he's not 80. He got gunshot, but anyway, I'm not going to talk about that anymore. But it makes me feel like it's going to be, the kids are going to be the only ones left standing. I just think that's weird and unrealistic, but the grown-ups are making such poor decisions. And anyway, I wanted to say, in regard to the lighting, of course, you've heard me complain incessantly, and I opened this up complaining about it. Well, he just brought it to my attention in the scene where the 2 major characters get killed off, that one of them, it was an accident, and I watched the episode twice, and I didn't even see that. It's so dark. And I used to watch, let's see, I watched Sleepy Hollow and then Grimm. And Grimm, a lot of the episodes were filmed in the dark. Part of them, anyway, at night. And I was able to see what happened there and didn't have any problem. I never had a complaint about that, ever. But this, and he's told me something that the one of them was an accident. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, Safi actually thought that Mustache Man killed Mario. And it's so hilarious because that would have been even that would have been even better though. The way that he gets killed, it's so funny too because all these fanboys giving it 10 out of 10s, they're just like giving the show excuses. As I said they would as a result of the pandemic writing. They're giving it excuses saying that, oh, Fargo has always been about implausible things happening and things that would never happen in real life happen.
Really?
I don't know where you got that. I mean, people thought the original movie was so realistic that people thought that the original movie was an actual true story for a million years. And
Yeah.
so, like, I don't know where you got that, where it's like, Fargo has always been about bullshit happening and, just implausible things. It's ridiculous the excuses these toxic fans come up with in order to please the show's writers. And, I don't know. It's really weird. Because, like, even the Walking Dead fans can criticize their own show, but for some reason, Fargo is this exception where, like, all the fans just completely bow down and they just accept everything they're given and they just don't criticize anything. And, that's why this season was terrible, was because of them. Because of all these people who didn't criticize in season 3 when they had that episode that took place in California. And it was a throwaway episode that didn't have anything to do with the season. And it was trash. It was a ripoff of Barton Fink. And, people never criticized it. And so they saw they could get away with that. They're going to get away with more shit in this season. And what happens is that Mario, it was so funny because I was going to say Mario is my new favorite character. And then, of course, right when I was about to say that, he kills himself on accident. He's walking back to the car, he trips and he falls, and then he magically shoots himself in the head. And I just thought, it's really embarrassing. Safi just shook her head. And, it's especially embarrassing because, when you fall, you put your hands outward. You don't put your fist under your chin. That doesn't really happen unless it's in a terrible show like this. I mean, a terrible season, not series. Like, even if he didn't have a gun in his hand, he would have uppercutted himself when he fell on his fist. And it's like, it's just ridiculous. It's like, who wrote this? Who thought this? But actually, I liked it when I saw it. Like, I thought it was fun and funny to watch. But, just thinking about it, it's so insulting. Like, if this happened in Breaking Bad, people would have a fit. They would say, I'm not watching Breaking Bad anymore. If it happened on any other show, people would say, I'm not watching this shit anymore. But for some reason, since this crap is done on Fargo, people are like, oh yeah, this is great. This is just 10 out of 10. Everything's perfect. And, yeah, it's just... It's not as bad as the preview made it seem, though, right, Safi? I mean, the preview looked really bad. It looked like...
It wasn't filmed. I don't think it was filmed very well.
Yeah.
The preview trailer thing was not... It looks very sloppy.
I have a bullet with your name on it. You want to meet up so I can give it to you?
Oh, God.
That's so dumb. What would you grade this episode, Safi?
Well, I just wanted to point out one more thing. I hate to complain. It's just that if you go to Kansas...
It's trash.
And you go to the Midwest, you go to Kansas City, can't you make it more realistic? We would have really... Kansas City really loves it, and Kansas and Missouri really love it when you actually... Like, Ozark, for example, is filmed in Georgia, not in the Ozarks. We would really appreciate you being more authentic, really, because the part where Satchel is walking along the road, he has a really cute, sweet little dog with him, and it's hilly, and there's tons of trees all over the place, and grass, area. Come on, really? This is on the prairies of Kansas. This is he hasn't gone that. There's no way he's walked 10 or 20 miles back to Kansas City. You go across the entire state of Kansas on I-70, it's nothing. There is nothing. It is a prairie. Yeah, you'll see sunflowers growing and the kind of field of the, I can't think of the thing to make the syrup, and wheat. But yeah, come on, there are no trees. There's like little stands of trees here and there, way far away. And they have all these trees and grass, and it's hilly. It's flat. My God. I have been on that road, I-70 across Kansas. I've been all over, and please, come on, really?
But Safi, that's a reference to the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, it was flat there, and that was a farm. Yeah, you might find a farm with some trees. Like I said, there are stands of trees, but they're remote.
But
Safi. And that's right. He wasn't even passing a farm. I mean, come on.
Didn't you understand all the symbolism and metaphors and Wizard of Oz?
I understand authenticity. I know that they shot, last week they had the shootout at the train station.
No, that was the week before last week.
Okay.
Last week was the epic episode that was full of art.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I know Kansas City and Chicago both have beautiful, large, working train stations. So they shot that train station episode in Chicago. They could have gone over to Kansas and shot a stupid little... I mean, these two episodes, 10 and 11, so next week's the final one, it's 11.
Thank God.
They could have... And it's after the pandemic. Come on, why couldn't you go over to Kansas and shoot an authentic part of the prairie? Because this is way west of Kansas City. You go west of Topeka, you're going to find prairie and hardly any trees. Come on, really?
Yeah, isn't that sad that we're asking for a show that takes place in Kansas to be shot in Kansas? Like, why is that every single... It's like, if you say that something takes place somewhere, you shoot it in that place. I'm really sick of seeing... That's a huge pet peeve of mine. It's even worse than the agendas, in my opinion. All these shows and movies, they're like, oh, we take place in this state. We take place in this state. And then you find out, like, they shot in Canada and all that crap. It's really sickening to keep on seeing that, especially with this season where... it's supposed to be different. It's supposed to be unique because it's Kansas. And yet they don't even shoot it in Kansas.
Well, just let me tell you, whenever something good happens in the Midwest, which I consider Kansas and Missouri are centered right in the middle of the country, they appreciate it so much when something good happens and features something good about their... or anything, at least if it's authentic about those two states. And I know all this political crap, it doesn't even matter. Just, they love for authenticity and positive things too. Like when David Cook won American Idol, when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, when the Royals won the World Series. They love it. It's a good thing. It's a positive thing. They aren't New York and they're not LA, so they don't get as much attention. So I don't know why it's such a big deal to do a few things. And the way they did the tornado, they made it look like a big tree, a narrow like tree in the forest. They don't look like that. You look at any tornado on the Weather Channel. You look at any tornado, it's a mushroom. Come on. So, I mean... Okay, I shouldn't go on anymore, but I really, please remember that. We really appreciate it. Even though I live in Ohio now, as a former resident of the area for most of my life, please be more authentic about it, would ya?
Well,
Simple thing.
What would you rate this episode with all that said?
Well, I gave it a B, and the reason why I didn't give it an A or an A- was because of the lighting. Again, I'm not going to give you high praise when I can't. I didn't even see that. I thought the other guy shot him. And I'm still going to watch that part again a few times. And I was very happy about, I thought that was cool with the mother and the daughter talking about the origin of the ghost. And the scene with the nurse in Ethelrita's bedroom, and I won't say anything else. I know Mark has already said something. That was cool and fun. And then well, I won't say what else happens, but anyway, that was great. And so, really, and the lighting, though, it was dark. I mean, I thought it was a miracle that when Ethelrita met Loy, she brought some paperwork. I won't say what went on, but there was a piece of paper that was especially important, and I was so shocked that we could see it, because it was in black and white, too. It was the newspaper, okay? It was a newspaper clipping, and we could actually see it. The whole thing, and what was important was very small, but it was in a photograph in the paper. And so we actually could see it. I was shocked. So I was happy about that. So that's it for me. I gave it a B. Okay?
Yeah, like, I would give it a B as well. I give it a B just because it was entertaining, and it had some good scenes, and it felt like, there was a different writer who was, like, trying to work with the shit he was given for the past episodes, but unfortunately, this episode is just suffering because of the other episodes. But if you take all the other episodes away, this episode's actually pretty enjoyable and entertaining. And like I said, I like the last scene. I like the scene with the nurse and the ghost. I like the scenes with Mario, because Mario was the new best character until they killed him off in a dumb way where he lands on his own fist. It's just ridiculous. But I'm not gonna. I already talked about that. And then, there was some other good stuff. It's just disappointing. Although this episode itself was entertaining and good, quote unquote, because this episode's just bad, as I said, because the other episodes gave it nothing to work with. I mean, they were stuck with that nervous cop character who just randomly decided to join the side of the guy who insulted him, call him a coward, all this other stuff, and, like, kidnapped him, trashed his apartment. And it's like, why is he on this guy's side? There's no reason at all. And then we have a moment where he's like, oh, is he finally gonna, shoot Mario and he's gonna grow a pair? No, he's just gonna sit there and let himself get killed. Stupid bad writing. Writing yourself into a corner 101 is this episode. They just wrote themselves into a corner, and now they're stuck in this corner. The only thing that we have to look forward to is the season ending.
Oh.
And, because another thing is the fact that, like, the nurse, what a disappointing villain. Like, she's a good actress, and she was doing a really good job in this role, and they ruined her, and they just wasted her character. And, God, there was one scene where, like, her attack plan was literally just to run up to Ethelrita while she's on the porch and yell at her. I mean, that was literally her attack strategy. Ethelrita, give me back my ring! Give me back my ring, Ethelrita! Like, that was the plan. Like, that was, like, just compare that with season 1, where, Billy Bob did all of his schemes and shit, like with the exercise guy and the duct taping him up to the bike with all the guns and having the SWAT team come and kill him, like, brutally. Like, just compare that to what the nurse did. Like, you see what I mean? How bad this season is, how badly written it is. But still, it was an entertaining episode, and that's pretty much it. Is there anything else, Safi?
Well, please like and subscribe. We would really appreciate it. And if you have some comments, go ahead. You are welcome to comment and to disagree, to agree, to add your own thoughts. We would love to hear them, and I think others might like to read them too. And don't worry about what you have to say. Just go ahead and try your best, and you might have maybe the writers might see a future writer in you, or really good ideas, because I think some writers around Hollywood, they really need some help to come up with some original ideas and to be authentic. That makes it more meaningful,
Yeah, look,
and believable.
it's funny because like there was that one commenter who wrote paragraphs and paragraphs, and he wrote like better storylines than the show even came up with.
Yeah,
and like
you can do it too. Come on.
He was saying, like, you know, in episode 5, like the U.S. Marshal, you know, he's gonna be mentoring Ethelrita, and you know, and he's gonna mentor her into becoming a cop, or like a detective or something. And I thought that sounds like a really cool storyline, and like I'd like to see that. Oh no, of course not. Can't do that because who knows? And you know, it's too bad that the commenter didn't write this season, because he would have done a much better job than the trash writers did. And it's so funny because people act like, you know, they defend this season like it's some sort of a progressive, woke show. And it's like, you know, this season was primarily written by white men. And so you're defending a show that, like, it's this big, you know, woke agenda show, and it wasn't even written by black people. It was written by a bunch of white people.
Okay, well.
And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing and that, like, white writers can't write a show with black people in it. I'm just saying that, like,
It's just kind of hypocritical.
It's hypocritical. It's inauthentic. It's artificial. You know, it's pandering and fraud.
Okay, well, I think we better say goodbye.
Yeah.
And we're looking forward to, I have a few list videos, which the millennial thing is to rank everything and list everything. And so my millennial son is asking me, or asked me to do that. And then we have the episode 11, which will be the final episode next Sunday, I suppose. And then we'll be doing Christmas movies. Yay!
Yeah.
We have a whole variety coming up.
Like Black Christmas. And Christmas Chronicles 2. And all those, and then we're gonna do top 10 worst Christmas movies. We're Safi's gonna do some shitty Hallmark week videos.
Yeah, it's a Lifetime this year.
We're gonna do a Lifetime movie this year.
And Marco's going to watch it too.
Yeah, I can't wait to review that.
Well, if it's fun, it'll be good. So anyway, we better go now. Bye.
Bye.
Everybody.